Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel and today's video on how to use your time better. Now ultimately we're going to have a whole playlist about setting goals, setting goals that actually end up being impactful and goals that you actually achieve as opposed to just your goals staying these big dreams that get pushed further and further away as the years go by. But ultimately we have to learn lots of different skills to be able to achieve our goals. And it's hard when you're just starting because you don't have most of these skills yet. And as you achieve one goal and the next goal and the next goal, and as these goals get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's gonna force you to build more skills. You probably have all experience that we can get away with achieving some great things without changing ourselves much at all. And we can push through and use willpower and grit for a short period of time. And sometimes that time is enough to achieve something significant. But if you want your life to accumulate to amazing contributions and experiences and achievements, then we really need to get skilled at achieving goals in a way that actually builds skills in us. So the achievement of one goal becomes this stepping stone for achieving the next goal. And your goals become more and more significant as you move on, as you're becoming more skillful and more able to achieve more. So today we're talking about planning, making plans to work towards our goals in a way that acknowledges the different styles of thinking and the different capacity that our brain has. Because here's what we're finding. Lots of people, especially, from my background in med school, people will talk about doing 12-hour days of studying, 14 days straight, and crazy things like that. And the truth is that none of our brains can work at the highest capacity for that period of time. There are more and more studies coming out about how productive people actually are at work and aren't, despite the hours that they show up to work. Even if you do an 8-hour work day, we might show that you only do 3 to 5 hours of productivity. And I want you to take these principles home to yourself in terms of making plans to do the work to achieve your goals. What my ambitious, amazing clients do is they will plan to do the highest level of thinking on demand for as many hours as they decide. That is very difficult to achieve. And it's no surprise to anyone, including them, that at the end, they haven't achieved these ambitious plans. So let's plan to plan in a way that actually works with your mind and acknowledges its capacity. So today I want you to start thinking about your brain as having very grossly two different styles of thinking. We've got one creative, problem-solving, big picture, big visionary brain that solves difficult problems, that does high-level tasks. And then we've got this other brain that does busy stuff, right? I'm talking about these tasks over here are like entering data into a spreadsheet or solving simple problems or repeating tasks that you've already trained your brain to do before, and they just require a little bit of intellectual challenge. These are things that you can kind of do half distracted. They don't require your full focus. They don't generally require you to get in some kind of mode or feel focused or sharp before you go and do them. You can do them to a satisfactory standard. Now this type of thinking over here is generally the type of thinking that requires more of that flow state. So once you have acknowledged that there are these two different types of thinking in just gross, really broad terms, we would agree that this type of thinking is more hard to come by and certainly not something we can sustain for an 8 or 14-hour working day. And in fact, we likely have a limited capacity to work at this level each day. And in my experience and my clients' experience, this does tend to be sort of refreshed, rejuvenated to a certain extent each day, depending on the other factors going on in your life as well, how well you're taking care of yourself, sleeping, eating, things like that. These all affect your brain's capacity to do its highest work. So once you've worked out how many hours in totality you have each day, I also want you to acknowledge what time of day that is. Now, some people will say that they're night owls and they have this level of cognition available to them, usually reliably in the evenings or into the night. But for a lot of us, it seems like this is most available first thing in the morning after we wake up from sleeping. So if that's the case for you, and you have big goals that require this level of thinking, I want you to think very seriously about protecting and prioritizing that period of the day for that special type of thinking. Guard that with your life because this is the key to achieving your goals. Reserving this time for this high level thinking to get those components done in the goal that need to be done in this cognition, in this manner. So now we've worked out how many hours in totality we have each day, this level of thinking. We know what time of the day we can do this level of thinking, what time of the day we will reserve this level of thinking. And now we look at our goal and the tasks, the subtasks within that goal, the work that needs to be done, and which of those tasks require this level of thinking. So acknowledging this, and that this is a more scarce resource, how I would like you to plan is to think about the tasks that require this level of thinking. So with acknowledging this, and that this is a more scarce resource, and that this is required, an absolute must for some of the tasks, some of the goals that you want to get done and achieve, I want you to first think about how many hours you realistically have each day for this kind of thinking. Now, unless you've already done this work and tracked this over time, this will be a guess at best, but I want you to set a number to it and make a guess. And then perhaps over the next week or 2 weeks, recognize, actually focus on solely doing that work in that period and seeing how much capacity your brain really has and how long it takes to refresh that, perhaps by doing something else in the day, removing yourself from the situation and coming back again, trying to rejuvenate that part of your brain. Or whether for you it seems that you have a certain capacity and then you need to sleep and wake up the next day before that's refreshed. So doing your own experiment here to work out how many hours, what time you have each day for that. Now that you know how much of this scarce resource you have, and you also know what your goals are, what you want to achieve, what are all the sub-requirements or the sub-tasks for that goal achievement, now you need to allocate that work that needs to be done with the time you have each day. You have a limited number of hours to do this level of thinking. What tasks are you going to prioritize and actually allocate to that precious time that you have? Now, this all sounds quite logical and reasonable, but some common temptations and mistakes that come up with my clients working in this way. When it comes to that precious block of time for that high level of thinking, it's not uncommon for us to have some fear or hesitation about doing that challenging work, because this work usually is very challenging. We usually have to put ourselves in a certain state to be able to go ahead and do that work. The temptation will be that you would like to get some instant gratification from doing some of this easier, busier work, to be able to tick some tasks off your list, instead of approaching this big, challenging task. So my beautiful friends, that's the first common mistake I want you to watch out for when you start to rearrange your calendar in this way. The urge to do a cognitively easier task that has more instant gratification available in this precious time where you have this limited high level of thinking. If you're having trouble not giving into those urges, if you feel like your life is being dominated by this busy work, but you're not actually moving the needle on those big goals and big changes that you want to make, come along coaching with me and we will work you right out. Oh my love, my beautiful friends, I hope this one helps and I'll see you in my next one.